Continuing from where we left yesterday with our discussion on improving PPC retention, I actually came across an excellent article by WordStream on PPC retention. The article has been written very well. It actually hit on all the key points that is required for agencies or people who work in an agency in order to keep clients for the long haul. I also updated this article in our PPC team space and shared that in Campfire. You guys can free to read it deeply. Take time and read it. It's very interesting. I will go ahead and talk about 6 tips that has been mentioned. And one thing which is pretty interesting, the first 3 tips out of these 6 are focused around communication, which makes this article important for our meeting. The number 1 retention tip, WordStream made, and it's not just WordStream's kind of like internal resources, but WordStream, anytime they try to write down something like this, they actually ask questions to other PR agencies and other advertisers on Twitter, and when the answers came in, they actually put their feedback, their suggestion in an article like that. So make sure you understand their business goals. Same thing we have also spoken yesterday. Then the number 1 thing is we need to spend proper amount of time understanding their business, researching about their business products, the competitors before even picking a single keyword. Second point they made is connect with clients on a personal level. This is again a communication part. The first one is also understanding their business. All the way goes to the communication with clients during kickoff call and our abilities to grasp that knowledge, and then ability to perform research and come up with meaningful points that can help us create the customer strategy that will help get the results for clients. The number 2 is again kind of connecting personally with the clients. Now this actually goes to frequent communication with clients, which I think at the moment most of us do not do, because there are digital producers who actually speak with the client. But I think there is a need for all of us to speak with client time to time. If not, every bi-week, at least in 1 month, or maybe at least once in a 2 months, we need to speak with the client and we need to connect them personally. Tip number 3 is communications. This is a more naked point, communications, and this all gets relevant to keep doing the same thing, like keep speaking with clients on a regular basis, checking their thoughts, feedback on a performance, and continue speaking with them and knowing like what are they feeling with the performance, how connected they are with our strategies, with our work. One thing which we lack, I often tend to jump into client calls on a need basis. Today also, we had a client call, Lane 201. I and Aditya were there. Now, I think this was my 2nd call with Lane 201. Last time I had a call was perhaps a month ago. Now, when you do not speak regularly, when you jump in on occasional basis and try to speak, there is some sort of disconnectivity with client. You will speak, they'll say, oh yeah, okay, yeah, makes sense, but there doesn't seems to be kind of proper connection comes in. I realize that okay, I'm showing him what is there in the account through a screen share, and some of those points even made sense, but there was a lack of kind of a proper connection. So this comes from when we do not speak. Other 3 points are actually not around the communication, but it's around even the 5th point. The 4th point is also checking clients' temperature, knowing their feedback. Normally DPs actually get clients feedback on performance. We are not first line of defense, or we are not someone who speaks first when clients shows their expressions or gives their feedback on the performance. Point number 6 is prove your success with regular reporting. So this was a wonderful article, and I believe we also need to do something similar. And I'm proposing some of the changes, and I'm expecting your feedback on these, like whether this will going to help us improve our retention or not. So my number one point is, how about all of you guys actually join bi-weekly alignment calls with digital producer and speak with the clients. You may not need to speak every time, unless if there is a super agency and you need to jump in. Your listening would also be important there in client communications. And client would be, they would also be aware about that someone who worked directly on their account is also there in a call. What do you think?
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, sure.
Great. 3 positive responses.
Yeah, it's fine.
4.
Yeah, the point here maybe could be not every 2 weeks, but maybe once a month could be good, because not every time you have an advance or like an update every 2 weeks. I mean, in the PPC side, but just one could be good, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on the situation. Like once you are done with setting up with the campaigns, and once everything on track, I think perhaps once in a month is also fine. Even during setup phase, also once in a month would be sufficient, because you will set up something, you will launch it, and obviously you will give them some time. So I think most likely it will be once in a month. Even though if DPs would speak twice in a month, I think we will make them arrange with PPC analysts just once in a month kind of calls, unless if there is kind of any, STC kind of clients or client which needs regular communications. In those situations, it might be bi-weekly, but I think most of the time we will try to make it once in a month. Okay. Yeah, this will going to simply help us improve retention. I think this is perhaps our first and the biggest remedy for time being that will going to help us improve retention rate. Obviously, we need to still keep focusing on our other remedies, which is definitely to make our clients get results. Keep in mind, when you would join the client calls, I know some of you already are experienced in that, either here in Coalition or somewhere in your previous tenure with your previous employers. You may have already spoken with clients, and that's a good thing. But remember, here in the city, when you would speak, you'll probably be a lot better effective in your communications when you would going to share your screen and show exactly clients what's happening. I often do the same thing. Whichever client calls I actually join, the first thing I ask them, or first thing I take their permission into is kind of, are they on a computer? Or, would they be able to look into my screen? And I try to speak on the screen share, show them the reports, simple reports. AdWords is far easier. You can in one screen you can talk about individual campaign, what's there inside the campaign, and in the second report you can play with the reporting features. You can correctly show clients how a shopping is performing month over month, how is a non-branded performing month over month, where are we heading into. Those are far easier in terms of communications. But remember, preparation is very, very crucial. You have to prepare ahead of a client call. it would need you to be ready with what you are going to speak on. Otherwise, if you are jumping into client calls in a rush, you will struggle. I have experienced that personally, because in certain situations, perhaps unavoidable situation, I had to jump into client calls, and I would myself feel that there is a lack of preparation, but I would try my best and show them what I could. But you guys should always prepare ahead of the client calls. And other thing is I shown here, and the next thing I would be talking about here is, since now you will be joining client calls and will perhaps speaking with clients on exactly what you are working on, you could do much better job than TP. Yes, you could do much better job in setting expectation with clients than digital producer. And because you guys know a lot more in PPC than anyone else. So in our 2019 Joel's principles, obviously, the first point Joel mentioned is strategic thinking. Now, this is not very easy. Think strategically. This simple term involves lots of layers of skill sets needed. For each and every business, you need to absolutely think very strategically and critically. So strategic thinking that assists you drive long-term success for clients. Here is a kind of a path that you can use in order to set expectation with clients. So obviously we start with knowing client goals. What are their profit margin? What return on? Once we know their profit margin, then we come up with what ROI and what return on ad spend goal would be suitable for client. So for example, if client is having 60% profit margin, then obviously 3x 4x goal would be enough in order to make them profit. If their profit margin are 80%, then you would be making them net profit with just 3x. If their profit margin are 90% or so, then even 2x return on ad spend would be profitable for them. But if clients profit margin is towards lower side, 30%, 25%, you would need to hit over 6x, 7x kind of return on ad spend in order to make them profitable. So all this you can set once you know the profit margin. Both are applicable for e-com. For lead generation, obviously you need to know how many conversion client need and how comfortable they are with the CPA. You will start with these informations. Then obviously everything starts with knowing something or gaining knowledge. Most of the time we have been handed over a tough goal. You would do PPC in second, third month onwards, ROI is expected from you. And nobody would want to understand, or nobody would want to listen that, how tough it is. And you need to follow a particular path, especially for gaining the knowledge. Because if you cannot gain a knowledge first, you cannot make any client profitable over time. But when you guys would join the calls, I think you can better set expectations, starting with setting a A/B testing framework in a question format. So next section in the questions are around like what you need or what knowledge you need to gain before you could start campaigns for clients and start making them profitable. If someone is having existing performance data, you will actually get the answers of most of the the questions I have listed here. But when you are not having performance data, that's where you will need to do A/B testing very seriously, one by one. And each A/B test will need a time, at least to kind of like 4 to 6 weeks, or sometimes even 8 weeks. This information at the moment isn't being communicated to client at all. Nobody of us actually talks about like why A/B testing is important. When a client is having data, then perhaps you don't need most of the A/B testing. Something like you already know which landing pages are performing well, which product type inside Google Shopping is performing well. Those answers you will get ready-made, and you don't need A/B testing. Maybe just for 1 or 2 learning, you would need A/B testing. But when there is a fresh AdWords account, This is where you will need to communicate that why you need a timeline, why you need to get answers of each of the questions by performing A/B testing before really start making clients see profit. So number one thing is landing page. Which landing page have converted profitably for the client? Are those landing pages still active? Check this question and find the answer. If the answer comes, if you find out the landing page is already there and they are still active and converting, mostly applicable in clients where there has been already adverse history and they have performance data recorded. But if you do not find any answer, suitable answers, or if you don't see any landing pages working for client, or then you will actually get the new landing pages created. You will do A/B testing, and this could take 4 to 6 weeks of a time. This is exactly need to be communicated to client as well, that this is what is needed. So they'll actually then they'll be with you. They'll realize that okay, yeah, that is needed, and you need to find out a landing page that works. Once the landing page is there, then you will actually go for e-commerce, for Google Shopping. You will try to see like what product types or group of products get sold mostly for the client. If you have an answer, then no problem. You have got that point, and it will help you to go ahead with better campaigns, more effective campaigns. But if you don't have any product type specific data, then you will run a standard shopping campaign with all products, and you will over time you will get to know which products convert profitably for them. What CPC is profitable for the client, very important. This is also A/B test. Remember, A/B test is for everything in PPC. Each simple information for a client, you will get to know. You need to gain that kind of knowledge. I'm not sure if most of you guys actually ever think that what CPC is profitable for Google Shopping for a specific client. Anyone have ever paid attention on kind of checking what cost per click is profitable for a specific client's Google Shopping campaign?
Yeah, for example, in my case, for example, in some of my accounts, I need to set like a different CPCs in shopping accounts because sometimes with, for example, a lower bid, it's impossible to get sales. So what I did in those cases is sort by conversions or conversion value. For example, if a product has a good conversion value, increase the bid. And if some products doesn't have conversions or has a lot of spend without conversion, what I did in those cases is exclude the product or maybe decrease the bid. So could be an option, I think.
Yeah, it's a good optimization. It's a good kind of A/B testing to know what CPC would work. But I often try to, when I have a data of a Google Shopping, what I will try to do is I'll look into month-over-month shopping performance type. I'll just put a shopping here, and we'll try to see which CPC had led to a profit to a client. And that's just for Google Shopping. Keep in mind, I'm just looking into Google Shopping, not at account level, because account level always have a lot of different campaigns. Branded will surely going to not provide you good data for other campaign types, because branded often perform. For lane 201, I'll probably look into December 2018's number. Now, one thing is obviously December is often the high season month for apparel, so may not be a strong basis here. But here I'm trying to look into what kind of CPC. Look into the pattern. Does it like if the CPCs goes high, client's profit goes down? It's a very, very important learning you need to know from Google Shopping. What are your limit with setting bid? If you keep setting high bids, your CPC increases, you will end up losing the profit. So 50 cent is what I'm seeing, in December month was a profitable one. In January, 64 cent, not profitable. Then in February, it was 52 cents, still not profitable. In a March, 48 cents. So CPC actually in proper range here, it's been between kind of the length or kind of limit we need. But by performing A/B test, here it's unclear. We don't know. We don't know, what is a profitable CPC, because December to 2018 rather goes towards seasonality. But this is a benchmark, but you need to run a test and check what CPC is profitable for Google Shopping. So last 7 days, for lane 201, last 7 days was a very, very profitable. And this is, okay. Have we paused campaign, Adit?
Yes, Ashok, the site is still under maintenance, so
Okay.
I'll check at the end of the day and see if it's live.
Okay. So last 7 days, look at that. 199 for the spend of $22, return on ad spend 9.05. And when I look into CPC is in 19 cent. So this is actually kind of indication to me, in order to keep Google Shopping produce return, profitable return, your CPC must be in range of 19 to 30 cent. As this is actually what my assumption is based on the data. So this is exactly, how you also need to know over time that what CPC is profitable for Google Shopping for a particular client, and what you could keep setting. Communicate that to client. Tell that, this is what you find is, profitable CPC. I think, this kind of information will keep them excited with you. Similarly, test out smart shopping. What ROS bid limit works, you need to test it and know that. And are there any location, audience, and ad schedule oriented specific setting that converts well for client? If not, then test it. Perform a test, list out your finding, and it will give you very good learning, very good understanding, and at the same time other team member in your project will also get quality information by your A/B testing. Now, what is the advantage of this? If your performance goes negative, then you can actually defend that you actually deploy A/B test, and you wanted to know that, because this is very crucial for you to make Google Shopping keep performing over time. Now for lane 201, we noticed that smart shopping is doing well. Apart from Adit's, this campaign has also been doing well. And we also learned that this CPC is often profitable. So we are just going with low beats, narrow targeting inside this one smart shopping campaign, and we are giving it a time. That's the learning we need to communicate when you join client calls. And this is also, I think, a proper way to gain a knowledge about something, and specifically, write it, show it to other team members, and this will directly, give you more timeline. Client will perhaps not be so aggressive with ROI. Obviously, ROI would definitely be the goal, but you are running with a kind of a defined path, and knowing each and every these informations, and this will help you better set your campaign. It is just for shopping, but non-branded, this is where things goes very interesting. Each campaign type needs specific A/B testing, and each campaign type needs their own answers. Like in non-branded, you would like to know what kind of search terms perform profitably for client. If you don't know, then you need to A/B test it. What mesh type have converted better for the client? If you don't know, then A/B test it. I also try to look into mesh type. When we have a huge amount of data, then pull the keyword performance report, pull the mesh type into pivot table, and see which kind of mesh type have converted profitably, and do that only for non-branded. Don't look into branded. Branded doesn't matter. They always perform because they are our proprietary term. Again, for non-branded also, you need to know what CPC is profitable. Perform A/B test, check with client, inform them this is what you are doing. For non-branded, what kind of pieces of ad content performs, including headline one, description, CTA, what type of text ads converts profitability, what type of ad extensions, CTR and profitability at trade-off. Obviously, sometimes low CTR converts better and high CTR converts poor. You can also know that by A/B testing. Then any locations audience ad is scheduled for non-branded. Does anything special perform for non-branded? You need to know that. Very important, retargeting versus new acquisitions. So does retargeting perform profitably than new acquisitions, or vice versa? You also need to check that. Remember, a lot of clients often ask us, you guys do not give me much from new acquisitions. And we don't know until they actually bring this point, because we tend to set up our campaigns in a way where we add RLSA audience inside our campaign. Okay, that's fine. It's a good best practice. But you also need to be mindful of checking like how much you are producing from retargeting and how much from new acquisitions. Because a lot of clients over time would want them to provide profit from new acquisitions as well. So always keep checking whether which is outperforming, retargeting or new acquisition. And the last section is display retargeting banners. And just like text ads, also check what type of banner ads converts profitability, what pieces of content inside those banners converts profitably. Like CTA, any special offer, what type of audiences convert profitably, and on a general display, banner campaign or brand awareness specific campaign and YouTube ads, check that if they are influencing other channels' performance or not, because you would anyway not going to get direct return here. So if any client or you are thinking to boost their brand awareness, make sure that you need to A/B test them and check if they influence other channels' performance or any of your other campaigns, including branded. Remember, brand awareness can sometimes boost your brand trump traffic. So make sure that you check if brand awareness are influencing anywhere and assisting any other channel or campaign's performance or not. So it's like a framework which is kind of set up to check like each and everything you need. The answers of these questions will likely going to clarify your path on what is the knowledge you are gaining and what you can focus on, and can start providing clients long-term results or long-term success. And at the same time, keeping in loop with all of these testing and the results, I'm sure client will going to like this. Any question, suggestion, comments?
Nope.
Okay, was that consumable?
No, I think it's fine.
Yeah, sure, good to go.
Yeah, it might sound a little bit tough. A lot of things in PPC sounds a lot tough than being done. I think we do a lot. We are one of the hardest team, but the only thing we are missing is, I think, we aren't aligned with what client needs. What we know, client doesn't know, and what client knows, we don't know. So I think by participating you guys into client calls and the way you would communicate your campaign results from the start, the way you will set up the A/B test framework and provide them informations, it will be much better relationship. And I think you guys could do much better job than digital producer. But that doesn't mean that you will have to handle everything PPC in terms of communications. DPs would be there always. So if maybe you join initial few client calls and you even educate DP about what's there in your account, and if they are confident, they can keep speaking with the clients. It's all about communications. If we could do better job with whichever strategy we deploy, if we can convince the same, we can keep clients and everyone in the loop. I think this will going to reflect on a retention.
Ashok, I have a question. When we don't have like a huge budget, maybe it's like $1,000. Also, do you recommend run an A/B test? I ask you that because sometimes when you have like a small budget, it's a bit difficult, to try and to do experiments.
Well, I think in a PPC, everything needs to know. You guys need to know what works for a client and what doesn't. Lot of time, our typical way of working is whenever we get a client, we would set up a campaign. We would even deploy some of the common sense, some of kind of our ideology of why we would pick a specific keyword. There is a reasoning behind that, and that reasoning is obviously kind of A/B test you are deploying. So I think regardless to the amount of budget, even if it is just $100 per month, when you run 2 ad, you are doing A/B test. When you bid on 2 keyword, you are doing A/B test. So it's all about kind of having clarity on what we are testing here, what we are trying to know. I think as of now, we run campaigns. Later on, we know that non-branded is not performing. This is actually a knowledge we gain, right? And this could be called as A/B test. We started non-branded, but it didn't work. Now this is a lot of broader level, but client want to know like what inside non-branded didn't work. A lot of time we know that smart shopping is performing, so it's a knowledge. It's A/B test we perform, and the same thing we need to communicate proactively to clients that this is what we'll do. We're going to check from your campaigns. You'll be deploying A/B test one by one with this kind of framework. Remember, your end goal is obviously this, and you will still be expected to hit ROI even 3rd or 4th month onwards. So launching A/B test like this doesn't mean that we will get automatically 7-8 months of time without any pressure from client on hitting ROI. They would still expect ROI, but this kind of framework actually sets a good kind of strategy to gain knowledge, which a lot of clients, despite poor results, they wanted to check what we learned from all of the campaigns. Have we found out something meaningful for them? I can name some of the clients like Velvet Company, Rip Maternity. Performance weren't that much exciting, but they actually asked questions like, what do we learn? So with a a specific framework, A/B test framework like this, you're going to get a good amount of knowledge that will also help you better optimize your campaigns in order to hit the end goal.
Okay.
Any other question? Okay, so everyone comfortable with joining client calls? Junior team members, do we have junior team members here in the call? Nikhil, have you ever done client calls?
Not previously, but I can do that.
Great, yeah. I'll be also there. I'll be there to assist you in client calls. That's not a problem. But since if all of us will be joining client calls, maybe if there is 2 calls overlaps, then I may probably make a choice. I may need to make a choice. So I'll try to be with you guys, especially junior team members, Diksha, Nikhil, to assist you. Yarik, have you ever been to client calls in the past?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Aditya, Ronak, Sarvesh, Gonzalo, Vivek, you guys are typically good in client calls, so I'm least concerned, but I'll still keep joining the client calls whenever possible. So, okay, I'll be then sending an email after this meeting to DPs and Rebecca that we are actually ready to join client calls. The minimum we need is and the most comfortable is once in a month would be very, very good, except if there is any client needs more frequent calls. And yeah, from there on you'll get confirmations from TPs, and you'll start seeing meeting invitations coming in. Be sure to accept them, and remember, you need to prepare ahead of a calls.
Okay, I have a question. For those calls, we need to submit like a report also, or just is after the call that?
Report, you mean any specific report to
Like
speak?
a document.
Well, DPs generally use alignment calls notes. They are normally there in a base game under docs and files. So normally DPs actually note down clients' feedback or thoughts on PPC section. So for lane 201, you can see docs and files, and inside here.
Okay.
Yeah, today we had a call, and we talked about all the PPC, but normally they write their notes in a section format like this.
Okay.
So a lot of existing clients, it depends on the performance. So for some clients, you probably, I would recommend you guys actually prepared with it. So like if there is, like if the next call is coming after 2 weeks, read what was discussed in a last client call, and then prepare your points around what was the last discussion, because normally client would focus on the PPC specific conversations based on the last point they had discussed, because they remember their thoughts. Or kind of if you get any email or anything from DPs that this is what client is concerned about and we are supposed to speak, so your preparation should be around that. But for the new clients, of course, this is what you can all start straight away from scratch. Set up a framework, check what answers you already know and what you don't. This will be kind of like a lot meaningful work you will be doing. Keep noting your answers when you go along, when you perform A/B test. All right. So that being said, that's it for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Happy Tuesday.